Ladies and gentlemen, returning to your earbuds, the friendly neighborhood fanboys. I'm your host, Jazz King. Alongside me is
Adam Leonard,
Woo! Ric Flair style.
woo,
Woo!
very appropriate for WrestleMania week.
That's right. It is a mere 5 days away, 4 days away, crazy close. That's one of the many things we'll be talking about because our faithful dozens, we took a little bit of a spring break, aka life, house guests, work, schedules, time difference.
Video games, to be honest, video games.
And yeah, video games, which is appropriate because we are brought to you by middleofnowheregaming.com. We want to give a big shout out to them for allowing us to come into your earbuds every single week, or when we find the time.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Hopefully more frequently. We say that every time, but hopefully more frequently from here on out.
Yeah, I like to look at this as, our initial 10-issue run happened, but, we hit some art delays or something, and now we're back for a brand new story arc. At least we left on a story arc, and now we're coming back.
Hey, and better we wait a little bit, have a show with lots to talk about, rather than just kind of scrape.
Yeah. Well, and, we needed time to recover after our last ordeal,
Oh, yes, that was something, all right.
Yeah, it was a trying ordeal, but we put ourselves through it. We got through it. We just needed some time to recover, and if you haven't listened to that, we're talking about the toilet funeral / Shark Week, a.k.a. Fuller House, which is the previous story arc, if you will. Yeah, so we're back now, and you can, of course, follow us on the Facebook at Friendly Neighborhood Fanboys. Give us a follow on the Twitter as well at FN Fanboys. You can email us at fnfanboys@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or concerns. And boy, do we have a lot to get to today. But first up, where the hell have we been? What have we been up to? Adam, what you been up to, my friend?
First, I want to go a little bit timely for a second, just because it's happening literally right now.
Okay.
Are you a Final Fantasy person?
I think Final Fantasy is cool. I kind of really sort of suck at them, so I've never beaten one, to be perfectly honest. But how about you?
Admittedly, not growing up, although I do really like Kingdom Hearts quite a bit, so that kind of counts.
Hello?
But I've been... Hello?
You there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I was saying that, yes, I haven't really been the hugest... I haven't been the hugest Final Fantasy person, but I have heard a lot about 15. It sounds like it's very different from the other one, so I'm interested.
Okay.
And it's just there's some event going on in LA right now where it looks like they're announcing literally all of the news about Final Fantasy 15. Apparently there's going to be an anime and a mobile game, and it's coming out in September, and there's going to be a movie. And it's just one long stream of Final Fantasy news. Anyways.
Wow.
But what have I been up to? I have been bouncing around a little bit for games. I started playing The Division.
Cool. How is that?
Yeah. It is fine. It's it's probably not going to stay in my conscience for a particularly long period of time, but I suppose there are worse ways to kill some time. But I kind of stopped playing that because it was announced that Dark Souls became backwards compatible for Xbox One, so pretty much I had to instantly go buy it. And so I'm now 7-8 hours into that.
Nice.
And yeah, so I was kind of wondering, so if I bought you a copy of Dark Souls, would you play it? Would you try to beat it?
I would definitely try to play it.
Okay. I think I might have to make that happen so that we can witness you playing Dark Souls. But to be fair, it is a hard game. But you did also beat Metal Gear Raiden, chop. But remember that was being pretty freaking hard.
I did beat that one, choppy.
Yeah, so I'm playing that. I'm having a real good time, and basically, I'm really excited. I've got a bunch of vacation coming up in the next 2 weeks because it's 2 really big weeks in games. Because next week, Remedy's newest game, Quantum Break, finally hits.
That's right.
And I've got 3 days off in a row to try to play it and take it in. And try to hopefully, I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat it in a week, but I'm going to try simply because then the next week I have like about 5 days off because Dark Souls 3 is coming out.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And yeah, and I'm trying to think what else. Also, I put in a pre-order on the Sony VR.
Yeah, I heard that on another podcast on this very network, the Middle of Nowhere Gaming Core podcast. Definitely give those guys a listen. Yeah, how is the anticipation for that?
I am really excited. I mean, it sounds like from everything I'm hearing, it sounds like this VR thing is not some kind of new fad or scam. It sounds like it's legit from what I'm getting from the general consensus of people talking about it. The only thing that's kind of damping my spirits right now is you probably heard a little bit about this on the podcast, but have you heard about this whole Sony PlayStation 4K shit?
I have, and it has me a little dubious, to be honest.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I was reading some rumored stuff today, and it's all with a grain of salt until they say something, but that some of it seemed to indicate that they're going to allow for developers potentially to make games that take advantage of the new technology and might not work as well on the old PlayStation. And that may not be the case, but it does have me worried, and I know I'd be kind of probably pretty upset if they pulled that, because the reason most of us are console gamers is because we like the fact that we don't have to upgrade our system every so often. We like the concept of I can buy like one system for like 4 or 5 years. I can play everything that comes out, and that's it.
Exactly.
And like basically, it's like they're kind of moving over to PC if they're going like, well, we'll release a PlayStation 4, but then we'll do like PlayStation 4.5, a couple years in, and it's almost like PC. They keep on making you, pay more and more money if you want to be able to play the most cutting edge game, which is not consumer friendly at all.
No, not at all. It's like basically like shitting on the early adopters. Like, ooh, you helped us become the #1 console in the world. Thanks, but fuck you. Here's a new one. Buy this too. That's messed up, and I kind of hate that.
And if that's what they're doing, and I'm not saying that's what they're doing, I have a feeling we'll know more, probably at very least by E3, if not sooner. It just kind of feels like it'd be a pretty grave error unless they have like some real great plan in place to make everybody happy about it. And it kind of feels like I just think it's almost inconceivable to me because Sony was like the underdog for the entire last generation. And what happened is, Microsoft got so successful and bloated that they tried to come out with big dick and swagger when it came time to announce the Xbox One, and made a bunch of decisions and announcements that just basically pissed off the gamers. Mm-hmm. And Sony basically swooped in and countered on that, and then basically, I think that very moment is part of the reason that the PlayStation 4 has become as successful as it was. And it feels like this could potentially be their moment of error, like on the same level with Sony, what happened to Microsoft. Because it's like now it's like, yeah, you love our shit. Well, guess what? We're gonna release a new one, and you gotta buy it if you want to be playing the best games. But hey, you're in on us, so what are you gonna do about it?
Not buy your console, apparently, and then whoops, wah wah. That's what happened. Yeah, let's hope this is all just kind of a no, don't worry. This new one will just be able to play 4K games, and it's not going to replace anything.
Well, and I think Jordan was talking on the other show. I mean, I'd at least be okay is if they offered some kind of decent deal. Like, let's say, all right, you go to a GameStop, give them your PS4, give them $100, you get the new PS4. Like, that would be easier to swallow, I think, if they tried to help people transition to whatever they're trying to do here. Because that would be an easier pill to swallow if they tried to clearly reach out and try to give you some incentive some actual incentive to switch over rather than you have to if you want to play our games.
Yeah, or some sort of like I don't know, I don't know if it's even a possibility, but like I don't know, an attachment, if you will. Like plug this into the back like USB port, and you're good to go for all the new upgrades and stuff. Kind of like how the Nintendo 64 had that graphics block that you put in for Donkey Kong. Kind of.
Well, we knew it worked really well when it was called the Sega 32X, right? Or the Sega CD, for that matter.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So maybe not the best idea.
Then you just basically got your Megazord console with just like bits and pieces jammed into places, and
I would love that if I could make my Xbox into a Megazord. I mean, I'm the guy who's sitting here with Resha Sentai Tokyuger mechas. Yeah, that's a train Super Sentai. Power Rangers with trains, which will probably never come to America. But I would love if my Xbox could, have little arms and little legs and a little head and maybe a power sword. That'd be cool if it had a power sword. But alas, I don't think it'll happen.
Keep on living that dream.
Well, we all gotta have them, right? Keeps us sane. Keeps us going. Yeah.
So what if?
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask anything else big in the world of Adam.
Nope. Why don't you go ahead?
All right. Well, I've just been working. We had a couple of house guests come and stay with us because our floor in the other room is cheaper than a hotel in New York City. So we had a couple of house guests and went and did some fun stuff with them. Had dinner again at the Seinfeld Diner, which is pretty cool because that's just right at the end of my block. Yeah, I've been playing Mortal Kombat quite a bit. Mortal Kombat X, I bought the Ultimate Edition, or the Complete with a K edition. And, yeah, I'm having a fun time with that. I'm also still juggling that and basically trying to do everything that I possibly can in Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm vigorously hunting down all 10 dragons and doing all the table operations that I possibly can and doing like everybody's little like quote unquote loyalty missions and all the things. So I'm like 40 hours deep into that, 50 hours deep into that, and nowhere near the end in sight. I still haven't done the party. I still haven't stopped the Venatori. I still haven't done all this stuff. So, yeah, I've got a ways to go on that, which is cool. Also, let's see, I've been reading a lot of comics, lots and lots of comics, catching up slowly but surely, which helps with my current occupation. So I've just been catching up with a lot of stuff. Yeah, the Superman stuff is really interesting right now, catching up with that. Marvel's doing a lot of really fun stuff. They're celebrating the 75th anniversary of Captain America with Sam Wilson, Captain America #7 that just came out today. Worth a check out if you are interested to see what is happening in the world of Captain America right now, which is a big deal because Civil War is about to come out as well. Yeah, what else have I been doing? DC Rebirth just had their big giant press conference at WonderCon, which is on YouTube right now. I recommend watching that if you're wondering what the hell is Rebirth. It's basically just what Marvel does every single year, but DC's doing it this time. And Greg Rucka is coming back to Wonder Woman, so I kind of squeed like a giant high-pitched fanboy and was very, very excited about all of that stuff. Other than that, kind of just, working, grinding, doing the thing. And, yeah, that's basically been about my life. Just house guests, work, and comics and games.
Well, don't worry, buddy. We'll get you Dark Souls, and we'll give you something to occupy your time with.
Oh boy, I'll have to figure out a way to set up the camera and be like, all right, Middle of Nowhere Gaming, you want to see a guy freak out over things that don't necessarily matter in life? You're about to watch it.
And I have an idea of how we might be able to play together. We could certainly try it.
Okay.
Because there is cooperative, but it's a little bit random. It's not like you go like, I don't want to play with that guy. It's like really kind of weird and obscure. Like you have to like put down a symbol and then like put down a symbol that lets you cooperate with other players, and then other players can see your little symbol in their world and they can summon you to their world. And no,
well, that sounds like a fun video in and of itself. We'll just
Yeah.
get on Skype, go online, and be like, all right, bro, here I am. I'm right here. Can you find me? Nope. It's a whole video of us trying to find each other. It's like
Well, who knows?
it's like a Matthew McConaughey and Jennifer Lopez movie from the early 2000s.
Yeah, or a Waldo book.
Yes. Where is Adam? Is he there? Is that his symbol? No, that's not him.
Well, you never know. You may find maybe you'll kind of get into it like I did, because I certainly wasn't a hard game gamer until I played, and so I'm still like not particularly good at it. I definitely am somebody who's like, okay, so what's the easiest way for me to do this? I'm not one of those cool people who, like, there's like a guy who's like beating the games using like a Guitar Hero controller.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is absurd. A Guitar Hero controller?
Yep, and Rock Band drums.
What the hell? Have you ever actually tried to play a game with a Rock Band controller? That sounds awful.
Yeah, there are some people that are really, really crazy, and I'll never be as good as. So, yeah, before I get more depressed about that, what do we got this week, Chaz?
Well, we got a couple of big things happened while we were away. But the first thing I want to talk about, it's a little tiny movie that may or may not have made $500 million globally this past weekend. And prerequisite here, spoilers, more spoilers, all the spoilers.
We're pretty much everything tonight.
Yeah, on everything.
Like, we won't just, like, break into spoilers, but if we say, like, Batman vs. Superman or Daredevil Season 2, just know that we're not going to be holding anything back.
Nope, we're going to be quoting things. Maybe we're going to be talking about big instances. Yeah, so if you have not watched Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, or as I like to call it, BVS:DOJ, turn this off right now, because we're going to talk all the spoiler things. Or fast forward to Daredevil Season 2, which, as well, if you have not watched it, wait, and then join us later. And then we're gonna
turn it off, but save us. Come back to us. We'll be here when you're done, when you're caught up.
Yeah, save your download. You know, it's not going anywhere. You got to learn a little bit about us. You know, what we've been up to. It's cool. We've got you covered. We don't want you to be mad at us. We just want to spread love. And maybe some criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, spoilers, kids. Beware. Okay. So, shall we get into this?
Yes, we shall.
A juggernaut, a big lumbering monster, a garbage pile, a dumpster fire. It's been described as many, many, many different things. I call it, I had a good time, but I have some problems. And I don't know necessarily where to start with this movie, but those are my initial thoughts to start. I didn't hate it. I don't want my time back. I'm going to see it again. I'm going to buy the Blu-ray. But, man, do I have some issues with this movie. Adam, what are your initial takeaways?
You want me to start positive or negative?
Let's start with your positives, and we'll go into the negatives, and then we'll maybe just kind of loop around, maybe full circle.
Okay, so... positives. Favorite part of the film was the very start of the film. That was probably my favorite all-time Batman origin story. It was short, it was sweet, it was like 2 minutes, but it was, oh my god, was it powerful, oh my god, was it iconic. Like, as much as there's plenty of things I dislike about Zack Snyder, and I do think Zack Snyder is kind of a C or D level Christopher Nolan, what Zack Snyder is really good at is iconic imagery. Like, he could take an image that's important to something that is well known, and he can nail it. He can, like, that's why I think Watchmen worked, is because he had a singular source to copy from, and he was able to bring all the key moments from that source to the big screen for the most part accurately. But just like, the thing I'm talking about, right at the very beginning, and it's just basically 2 real important slow motion scenes, one with the death of the Waynes, and then the other of Bruce slowly falling into that cave.
Yes, absolutely.
Like,
It was,
that was just like, that was awesome. Like, I was super, like, I'm like, this is so cool. I really like this. This is everything you need to know about Batman in a nutshell, right there.
and they got it done in the opening credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like Spider-Man 2, just like the Incredible Hulk, just like most superhero movies should do. We don't necessarily need origins for a lot of the icons anymore. Just opening credits, here's a little montage. And what I also kind of liked about this particular version is that they play back to it.
Hmm.
Later in like the third act, and you'd think, well, do they really need to show it again? No, it's got story significance a little bit this time. Whether you think it's silly or not, we'll get there when we get there. But I appreciate the simplicity and, yeah, like you said, the imagery. If anything, Zack Snyder can construct a shot like no other. So
That being said, kind of leading on with that, another positive I will give, I know that there have been some critics, but I actually really, like, the more I think about it, I actually really like Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne and Batman, and I will go on to say that I think, given the proper movie, I think it's going to be better than I really think it's going to be better than Christian Bale. Even I think I think Ben Affleck could quite possibly be capable of being the best Batman. I just kind of feel sad that this is a movie he had a debut in. I really pray to all high heaven that they work out that deal where Ben Affleck gets to write and direct his own Batman movie, because we know for a fact that Ben Affleck has proven that he's a competent director.
hmm
And I think he could probably put together a very good Batman movie.
Yeah, I freaking loved him in this movie. I thought he was definitely the standout. I thought the movie was basically on his shoulders, and not from a directing or editing or storytelling standpoint, but from a performance standpoint. Ben Affleck carries this movie. If you think otherwise, I will think you are a crazy person. You are entitled to any opinion you have out there in the world, but I think Batfleck was a hit from beginning to end, regardless of some of the creative choices made in the movie. He had nothing to do with those, so you know what? The guy, from a performance standpoint, is what I'm saying. The guy was outstanding. Batfleck, you win in my book.
And to kind of continue on that, like specific things I could point out that I really liked. This one is not so much is that I think even for the problems that this movie had, there was a lot of stuff I liked about how they used Batman. First of all, this is not so important, but this was just cool. I appreciate the fact that he clearly had a voice modifier instead of being like Mr. Raspy McRunny.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a realistic way, like it was actually a realistic approach to like, okay, so he's a superhero, how does he disguise himself? He has some kind of voice modulator. And what I liked is I liked this movie, I think, showed some sides of Batman that you didn't really see as much of in really any Batman movie. I liked the scene where once he got a hold of the kryptonite, showing him creating those gas bombs, because a lot of people seem to forget, and especially in the latest series, they basically just played up that, like, you know, Lucius Fox was responsible for all of Batman's stuff, and kind of ignored the fact that Batman, you know, is like a scientist, a detective, an engineer. He is many, many things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of cool to see them bring up some of that. In the beginning, it was kind of nice to see him trying to track down the white. What was his name? The white.
Yeah, I forget what it was. The white something, the white Persian or the white yeah, it was a boat. Spoilers.
But it was kind of showing his detective side. Another thing that I don't think really the movies have ever showed is I really enjoyed the rooftop, the beginning of the fight with Batman or Superman, because I liked the fact that it showed Batman's preparedness, because they don't really show that in the movies. I like the fact that when he was on that rooftop, he had basically every single advantage he could possibly allow himself up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like the fact there was all these traps and stuff. That is how Batman works. Batman wins a lot of the time because of preparedness. He comes ready for he basically comes with the deck stacked in his favor.
Yeah. He very rarely enters a fight that, he cannot win. And if he can't win, he'll get in the fight and then get out of the fight so he can come back and win then. Like, that is Batman's superpower, is that he will find a way to beat you if he makes it out of the first round. And,
And you don't see that in the other movies. I think this was like the first time I really saw somebody detailing that kind of aspect of, Batman. Finally, another positive note, a thing I really liked for Batman is I did really like the first scene in like the slaver house, because I liked it. I liked how it kind of played up in a way which, again, I don't think the movies have as much of actually how scary Batman is, even to like the law enforcement, because he is like kind of some kind of spook urban legend.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that when the cops were upstairs, and all of a sudden you just see kind of Batman, almost like a horror movie monster, like kind of cowled up in the corner, and then all of a sudden the second like the cop starts to realize he's there, you don't actually really fully see Batman. You just see this kind of whoosh of movement.
Yeah, and the hostages were even scared of him. The slave girls, they were terrified. They were calling him the devil. The devil is still here. No, we're not coming out of this cage. The devil is still here. He saved us, but he scares us, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I really liked that too. Once again, I thought it was showing an aspect of Batman that I don't think the other movies have covered as much. So basically, my biggest compliments for the movie is I loved Batman. Probably my other big compliment is I liked the beginning and the end. I thought the final fight, the fight between Batman and Superman was kind of funny. It was a lot of fun because it was kind of fun to watch all those people like, well, how could Batman beat Superman? Superman. And it was kind of finally cool to see the illustration of that.
Yeah. That fight was a lot of fun, and that's definitely one of my positives as well. If you're gonna call the movie Batman, essentially Batman versus Superman, you got to deliver a really good Batman versus Superman fight. And for me, I really enjoyed that fight. So I think they delivered on that front. And apparently there's more footage of them fighting in the upcoming release, because that's just what we need, a longer version of this movie coming out whenever the hell it comes out. So I'm excited for that. As well.
Probably my other big compliment for the movie is I'm not a fan of Doomsday, and God, did they blow their wad by revealing that? It would have probably been more okay if it turns out there was a larger villain at play and there was something we didn't know. But it just turns out, nope, it was Doomsday. It's like, why did you show that?
I know. Can I just say this real quick? Whoever made that second trailer should be fucking fired. And I'm saying that with I don't wish anyone lose their job, but whoever thought revealing just about every damn story beat of the movie should be fired. Whoever is making these trailers needs to calm the hell down. Stop showing me everything. The best trailer for Batman vs. Superman was the 7th TV spot. It was 60 seconds long. 60 seconds long. It had a couple lines from Batman, a couple lines from Superman. They went face to face. They showed me a date. It gave me a name, and that's all that I need, especially when it's Batman and Superman. You don't have to tell me more. Okay, cool, it's Batman. I know that guy. Okay, cool, it's Superman. I know that guy, and so does the public. You don't have to give me every damn story beat. Whoever made that second trailer should be freaking fired. End of tirade.
Now, what I will compliment them for is they did surprise me, which I know some people are going to be like, well, if you've ever read the comics, you know how it ends. But, with them talking about doing this huge franchise in the Justice League and stuff, I didn't think they were going to do it. And I know that it's probably not permanent, but I was a little bit surprised, and I was a little bit like, okay, damn, so they are going to kill Superman here, aren't they? Because that's how, that if you're going to bring out Doomsday, at least you have the balls to freaking kill Superman. Because that's how it ends.
Truth. And I'll admit, whilst watching the movie, I went, oh, well, the sun will come out and he'll heal again. Oh. Nope, they're burying the fucking body.
I'm really glad that they... I'm really glad that they more or less definitively ended it. Well, I was a little annoyed because there was just this weird little moment right at the end where the dirt seems to start floating upwards. And it's I didn't want any hint that Superman was coming back. I just wanted Superman's dead. You can bring him back because I know you're gonna. Mm-hmm. But I am also glad that they didn't do something more obvious, have Superman's dead. Psych.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I liked the ending. I really did, and I thought it was, as far as a build to the Justice League goes, it was a good build. Other than the reveal scene was incredibly stupid because it felt like super exponentially like, oh, Wonder Woman now has this hard drive that's got like cool little trailers for these different dudes. Oh, look, it's like hipster pedophile Flash.
Yeah, okay. Well, and another problem I had with the files, the hard drive, the files, is that I guess Lex Luthor is a graphic designer in his free time because he came up with logos for every single character. He's like, oh, this guy's underwater, Aquaman. Oh, this guy's like a robot dude, Cyborg. Let's make it a C with a cog in it. Which, okay, cool. It's fun to see those logos on the screen. Which, I mean, let's be honest. Comic books are all inherently silly. Like, if as much as we love and adore these characters and the stories, if you look at any superhero and strip it down to its base, it's pretty silly. But this was like uber silly. It's Lex Luthor's the guy who finds them all and creates all their logos and basically gives them all names. And I just kind of, I don't know. I just cannot get behind that. Lex Luthor's like, let's make it like a spiky A for Aquaman. It bugs me.
Not to mention that he named everybody, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this guy runs really fast. The Flash. Oh, okay. That's weird.
So are we ready now, while we're on topic, to transition to what we did not like about the film, or do you have more positive you want to go over?
More positive. Just kind of in general, I thought that all the performances of the people involved in the movie were pretty damn solid. Especially handling some of that dialogue, because Superman had some bad dialogue. And I mean, I'm not saying that Man of Steel, a movie which I love, I should precurse with that. I love Man of Steel. I think it is a science fiction first contact masterpiece that happens to star a guy in a cape. That's a discussion for a different time if we ever want to get into it. But I think his dialogue here was even more kind of stilted in like what was like on the page, like, because if you break it down, it's just, wow, that was a really silly line. But Henry Cavill did a great job with those lines. Like, I never once went, ugh, that was rough. I went, that was a weird line. But good job. You did a good job. And I think everybody did okay. Eisenberg is polarizing. And we'll talk about him
I've got some stuff to say about him.
We'll talk about him in the next segment. Adam, you want to kick it off?
I was going to say, speaking of bad lines, like the one that stuck out to me the most was, I'm not quoting this verbatim, but I'm going to try to get as close as I can. I believe Batman fucking had a line that was essentially something like, "My parents taught me a lesson. Sometimes you'll die alone in a ditch." I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, really? That's a line? That is like the stupidest line I've ever heard.
Yes. Yes. That was I did not like a lot of Batman's trash talk. I thought a lot of his trash talk was really bizarre. Like, you're not brave. Men are brave. So it's like, there's a lot of talk of gods and men, and I get it. That's the theme you're going for. If I can give the crew who wrote this movie and directed this movie, if I can give them any credit, it is that you were trying for something. Mm-hmm. Did you nail it? From where I sit, no. But you know what? You at least tried for something different. But man, some of that stuff was like a little heavy-handed or just flat out, wait, what? Which that line definitely was for me.
So now getting into it. Now, let me preempt this by saying I'm actually a Jesse Eisenberg fan. Like, if I were to pick up a list of my favorite movies, both Adventureland and Now You See Me are on that list. So I have a large appreciation for the man and his works, and I was even excited when they announced him as Lex Luthor, simply because thinking of him like playing Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook, I could see him playing that type of role. The Lex Luthor that we get in Batman vs. Superman is the worst comic book movie villain of all time, in my opinion. And I'm putting that below like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze, but at least he was playing to the style of the film. I don't know what instructions like Jesse Eisenberg was given for this movie, but I just thought Lex Luthor in this movie was fucking atrocious.
Wow. I wouldn't go that negative. I actually, in my mind, I'm giving them a lot more credit than they probably deserve. I'm going, okay, so wait, is he like supposed to be the juxtaposition? Because I mean, let's face it, everybody is all, next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. And I'm thinking, okay, so they said be like weird in comparison because everyone else is stilted. I didn't think it worked. But, wow.
Okay, there was literally a plot arc where, like, he wanted something from a senator. The senator refused to do it. He got mad, so he gave her a jar of piss and then proceeded to bomb, the Capitol. Like, that is something that happened in that film.
Yes. Yeah, well, Granny's peach tea, you know.
Like, at that point, I'm almost okay with real estate, going back to real estate scams, but at least that's a little more easy to swallow.
Yeah, I have no idea what he was going for in this movie.
Well, here's what's so disappointing is because, like, I don't know if you read this, but, like, there is some talk going around, and I don't know how rumored or real it is, but supposedly Jesse Eisenberg originally did not audition for Batman vs. Superman for the part of Lex Luthor. Apparently he was auditioning for a smaller cameo part. Rumors have it that it was the Riddler, and based upon his Riddler audition, he wound up becoming Lex Luthor. That makes me upset because that performance would have been a great Riddler.
That is very true.
Because that would have been such a good Riddler. That would have been completely in character and tone for the Riddler, and I probably would have been like, yeah, that was cool. But as Lex Luthor, especially considering the fact that for a while they were looking at Bryan Cranston playing Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm. Who at least would have tonally fit with the movie. Yeah.
Now, to be fair, like, I'm not blaming Eisenberg. I'm not saying that he ruined the role, because I'm sure he was... Because, like, he's a very talented actor, and I'm sure he was doing what he was told to do. Mm-hmm. I just don't know what the hell they were going for.
Yeah. The best that I can come up with is a juxtaposition that fell flat on its face. But that's really all I can come up with, and again, I think I'm giving him too much credit.
And that's fine if you want the juxtaposition, but you need to find a character that's appropriate to put that on. Lex Luthor's not the character you want to make wacky all of a sudden.
Yeah, and, initially, when they first introduce him, they introduce him, like, playing basketball in the lobby of his giant building. And I'm thinking, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, he's kind of a goofy, kid billionaire, which, exists in the modern era, and he's, like, maybe a tech genius, not unlike a character he played, Mark Zuckerberg, not unlike that character. But then I wanted him to become threatening.
Yeah.
And he never found that for me. I didn't mind the, oh, hey, Senator, how's it going, when he's in front of all of his people. And then behind closed doors, I wanted him to drop it.
Yeah, and see, that would have been a valid choice, and I was talking with my buddy, that's what he thought they were going to do, and that would have been cool if that kind of wacky, happy-go-lucky thing was just like was just kind of like a false front.
Yeah, almost like his Bruce Wayne. Right.
And then it turns out that there is this kind of maniacal villain beneath it. And not to mention, well, okay, a couple things. A couple of important things. First of all, such a thinly put together character, basically it came down to, I don't like superheroes because of reasons.
Truth. It's like he explains it in 2 lines of dialogue that, his grandfather, threw flowers at tyrants. His motive, I understand that a little bit, but just say something a little, deeper. Man of Steel happened. There's a giant part of your city that's missing. Just say, look at the destruction this one man caused. This one man is a nuclear bomb who acts with his own free will. What's to stop him from doing this to Gotham across the bay, which was a weird choice, by the way. What's to stop him from going to another country that we don't like and doing the exact same thing? He's an unhinged nuclear bomb who acts on his own volition. That is motivation enough. Yet it's and I feel like it's written right there, but they never once touch on it. So yeah, I agree with that. I hate Superman because reasons.
And not to mention, Also, I still think, and I think pretty much all of the movie, I don't think there's a movie that's gotten Lex Luthor right, because I think, like, what makes Lex Luthor most interesting is, yeah, I mean, down the line he kind of becomes a villain, but I think if you're going to start with, like, a first iteration of Lex Luthor, I think what's kind of important is that he thinks he's a good guy.
Yeah, he always thinks he's right.
Yeah, because he basically wants to be the protector of Metropolis, and he sees himself as that. But it's, you know, it's constantly, like, he's constantly playing second favorite to Superman. And he thinks Superman's a legitimate threat. That, like, I don't think any movie has gotten that right.
I 100% agree with you. I love Lex Luthor. I think he's one of the greatest villains in anything, whether it be comics, movies, television, in any sort of fiction. I think Lex Luthor is one of the greatest villains ever put, pen to paper. And I agree with you that no movie has gotten him right. The closest they've come is Smallville.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion. And I was really kind of hoping for more of like that take, because that's one of the things is Rosenbaum was incredibly charming, a lot like initial Jesse Eisenberg in this movie. Yet when he didn't get his way or wanted something or didn't believe in something or needed to do something that no one else would, he got scary and he got threatening, and you believed him. You believe that, yeah, okay, I believe he's going to slit this guy's throat. Will he? Yeah, who knows? I mean, he might get the guy next to him to do it, but it's going to happen one way or another.
Well, to be fair, like, and this was, like, I think a little bit of a creative stretch, but one that paid off huge is that, of course, the key thing with Smallville, too, is that Lex Luthor starts off as an incredibly likable, sympathetic character. Like, I mean, he's basically Clark Kent's best friend for a good portion of the early parts of the series. And so that was part of the fascinating thing, is to watch his kind of fall from grace and what drove him to it.
Yeah. And I mean, this movie could have been something like that, because, and this has gotten a lot of, like, mixed reaction when I bring this point up amongst the people I talk to on a daily basis now, where I feel like there's a theme of obsession in this movie as well, and this is just something I picked up on while watching it, and I got a lot of things that, just me watching the movie, and it kind of shows the subjective nature of fiction, that, like, obsession is a big theme, in the sense that Batman is so obsessed with taking out the danger that is Superman, and Superman is, like, so obsessed with trying to figure out, like, his place in the world, and so they're losing track of everything else. And I wanted to see, maybe instead of Batman, Lex Luthor be obsessed with, like, I am right, this guy is a threat, this guy is dangerous. Like, I fully expected a Lex Luthor on a podium addressing the public as he rebuilds their city. That never happened, and I fully expected that to happen. Like, I am obsessed with making you people love me. Why love him? He destroyed your home. And I think, honestly, I feel, as much as I love Batman in this movie, to an extent, there's some choices I didn't care for. But from a fictional perspective, it's like, I feel they chose the wrong guy. They basically did all the things I feel you should have done with Luthor with Batman. And instead of Batman completely losing his mind, they, make him a good guy. And they could have done the same sort of arc, but at the end have Luthor just completely snap, and that's where Doomsday comes in. Like, fine, I can't get these people to believe me, nothing, the government, I blow up the freaking government, they still don't believe me. Like, I try to set up like, you could even still do that scene. You could even still, try to set up Superman, but actually, like, maybe implicate him in it. I don't know. The Luthor stuff was very shaky and rocky for me, and could have been so much better. So I agree with you on that front.
So a couple other things. Now we're kind of getting into in the middle. A couple more thoughts on the Doomsday fight. I haven't really brought up Wonder Woman, simply because I almost felt like I didn't see enough of Wonder Woman to really form much of an opinion one way or the other. Other than the fact she looked like it was cool. She was cool in the fight. I thought the fact that, like her bringing like the sword and the shield and the lasso brought some kind of variety.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought she acquitted herself just fine. I just need to see more before I have more of an opinion. I also really enjoyed Batman in the fight because I kind of liked it started to show like how what Batman's context is in the Justice League, because it kind of shows he's kind of a utility player because he's obviously not as strong as most of the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of cool watching him in the Doomsday fight, just kind of hanging back and then like nailing Doomsday with like the kryptonite gas just at the right moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed the choreography of that fight was very comic booky to me, and I felt that was one of the parts of the movie that really worked. Also, on the Wonder Woman front, I am super excited to see her movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we only got like maybe 20 minutes total screen time for that character, but I feel like it was enough to set her up, and that was one of the only moments in the theater that got like an audible cheer from like everybody that I saw it with. Was like, holy crap, that's Wonder Woman finally on the big screen, about goddamn time. Whether it was a cheer of relief, a cheer of finally, or a genuine cheer of like legit excitement to see those characters on screen all together. Was very cool, and I'm really excited that Wonder Woman has a movie. It's already done filming. It's coming out next year. No one's going to stop it. And that makes me happy.
On the negative part of that fight, I had like multiple questions. Like, I had like less questions about the fact that Amy Adams Lois Lane, decided to throw the spear in that pool. The kryptonite spear. Like, I'm like, oh, you're trying to keep it away from because it hurt Superman. Okay, but like, I was just kind of like a little bit like just a moment where it's like, oh, it's like a big Doomsday dude. Well, somehow I know that I better go get that kryptonite spear, even though I don't really know that it's Doomsday's fucking Kryptonian.
Yeah, Lois Lane. She just she has an knack to know things. Like even in Man of Steel, like there's a part. It's the very end, right? Like they land in the destruction. Zod and Superman fight. Lois is in the destruction. Like, she's in the big crater thing. Somehow she gets from the big crater thing to that train station they were fighting in. Like, how the hell did she get there so damn fast? These guys were flying. Like, this is a mile away at least. Like, just in pure scope of the debris coming out of the sky. She's a sprinter, you know. She's an Olympic level sprinter. That's the only thing I can think of. And she has premonitions, you know. Sandra Bullock.
So, I was joking, like, wouldn't it be funny if, like, so they're going to do, like, the R-rated version. What if the R-rated version is they just gave Doomsday, like, a big old, like, Doomsday dick?
That was one thing that I noticed. He didn't have any genitalia, but Zod was definitely nude.
It's just like a big CGI, like, rock dick.
Yep.
Flopping awkwardly as he, like, attacks.
Kind of like Satan Dick in This Is the End. Yeah, just flippity floppity, flippity floppity.
Okay, so other things, like, basically, what I didn't like about the film was more or less the middle, because it just felt so muddled. Starting in, like, when they're in, like, Afghanistan or wherever they are, I was kind of confused. I'm like, alright, so Superman shows up, he attacks, like, one dude, everybody else gets shot, and somehow this is Superman's fault. How?
Yeah, because Superman doesn't shoot people. Why does everyone think he does?
Like, I think they're trying to infer that maybe he caused it to happen, and that seems like it's kind of a stretch. And then we're, like, treated to kind of, like, an awkward, almost, like, fuck scene between, like, Superman and Lois Lane. And I'm like, I didn't really need to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, a bunch of stuff happens in the middle, and it's just, like, it's funny, like, I actually read, like, there's this New York Post critic who actually had the balls to say that people don't like Batman versus Superman because they're not quote unquote smart enough to get it. And it's like, oh no, I mean, I get that they're trying to go for these really heady themes of gods and man and like, should people be responsible for what they do and et cetera, et cetera. I would have been all about that. I'm all about those themes. Those themes are very interesting to me. It just doesn't feel like it was done well.
No, I agree with you. Like the things I love, the very beginning, the attack, the Man of Steel thing, like from the ground was terrifying.
Yeah.
I thought like, wow, that was amazing. But then the middle, like the editing and the storytelling of this movie is bizarre. Just freaking bizarre. Like I felt like there was a moment, like maybe a 30-minute stretch that was just 30-second clip, 30-second clip, 30-second clip, 30-second clip, and it just felt really disjointed, like they lost their narrative somewhere in the middle and came up with a wholly new one by the end. And it bugged me. I'm just like, what the hell? What happened to the first 40 minutes? The first 40 minutes were really good because I remember, seeing initial response and going, man, it can't be that bad. And then when I go and see the movie, I'm like, I'm waiting for it to start getting like weird. And about like 40 minutes in is when it just starts getting really jumbled. It's like someone's playing Boggle with scenes, and it was really jarring. And then I felt like it kind of focus on that, kind of found its like path again towards the end. Like they had something in the beginning, had something in the end, but the middle was weird. It was just super weird. It was like a word search or something.
Okay, I've got two more things that I'm done on this one, and these two things are things that I liked. One, hey, Kevin Costner, nice to see you in there.
Yeah,
that was a cool little moment. I enjoyed that. That all of a sudden, like, Clark was having some kind of dream sequence, and like his dad was there. Particularly, I really liked Kevin Costner as Pa Kent. So that was cool to see you back. And one other moment I really, really liked, once again, say what you want about Snyder. Snyder can certainly frame an image. Is I loved like the aftermath when Superman goes to Mexico to stop that factory fire. I loved that image of like all the people in the Dias de la Muerte makeup, like all crowding around Superman. That was like a really nice shot. Yeah,
agreed. Another thing that I really liked that a lot of people don't seem to really like is the Martha scene. I thought that was actually quite nice because it to me, and again, this is just the subjective nature of movies. I thought Batman just like he was putting the pieces together. This is a part. Major spoilers here. He's got a kryptonite spear basically to Superman's neck. He's gonna kill him. And he hears the word Martha, which is the last word that his dad utters before he dies. And I'm thinking, man, this is Batman became Joe Chill in this moment. And that's why they kept flashing back to the origin. Batman is discovering, he's putting the pieces together. He's been played this whole time. This is wrong. This is like I have become so obsessed. Again, that obsession theme that I felt was there. Coming back, like I've become so obsessed that I have let myself get this far, and this is wrong. This is awful. The one thing I didn't like is the aftermath of that scene. Did we just become best friends? I think so. And like, okay, I get it. You both discovered you're good guys. You're not chums yet. But I'll forgive that.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of the hate flung on it too, because people are like, they got along because both of Moms and Martha. It's like that. Like, okay, that's like an oversimplification of it. I think it's simply a moment where Batman finally understands that yes, even though this dude is an alien, even though this guy has godlike powers, the dude has a mother just like he does. Like, there's some common ground there. Just because he is, it's hard to understand, it's hard to fathom what he is, that doesn't necessarily mean he is so different from you.
Yeah.
I think that was what that moment was about. It's just that that slight moment of clarity of maybe we're not so different after all.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that scene. That scene actually, like big reveal of the kind of blubbering fool I am, actually made me legitimately tear up in the theater. I got really like emotional for some reason. And yeah, I appreciate that when that happens. I was like, wow, what just happened to me? But yeah, and again, like Adam said, they had the balls to kill Big Blue, and I'm interested to see. I think Superman is going to be the cliffhanger for Justice League Part 1. I think he's going to be Justice League's getting their ass kicked by Darkseid. We didn't even bring up that the fucking parademon in the desert. That's a parademon. There's nothing like there's no question about that. That's a goggled up parademon hanging out. The Omega symbol in the ground. Yeah, Darkseid's coming. The ding 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 ding. That's the mother box, baby. That's Lex Luthor somehow knowing all about that, which I assume he learned from the Kryptonian metallic slideshow that Superman got in the first movie. But yeah, I'm super stoked for that, and I think that they're going to get their butts kicked, and then up in the sky they're going to see red cape flapping, and that's going to be the cliffhanger. That's what I predict.
I like the part of me that wants everything to be terrible hopes we get like a really shitty Superman Lives movie with Justin Bieber as not Superboy.
Oh man.
He has to be complete with like the spandex and like the leather jacket and like the ear pierce.
Dude, I would pay so much money to see that.
And Shaq to come out of retirement to do
reprise his riveting role as Steel.
Anyways, we've literally talked about Superman for like 50 minutes.
Yeah, we have. Final thoughts? I give it a 7.
I'm probably closer to a 5.
Cool. So, yeah, do I think you should see this movie? I do. Go see Batman vs. Superman in the theaters. It's a visual feast, if nothing else. And, make up your own mind about it, because it is very split between the clientele that I talk to every single day, who are the audience for this movie. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'd say go see it still. If nothing else, if you're a fan of comic book movies, you may not love it, but it's worth at least one view.
Cool. Alrighty. So, next topic?
Yeah, one that I'm a lot more positive about.
Yeah, we're coming back with our supersized special. We take a couple weeks off, and we come back with a nice.
Yeah, though I'm thinking maybe we might want to just nip WrestleMania, and we'll just talk about it afterwards, if that's cool.
That sounds like a great plan.
Okay, so
WrestleMania recap special.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get through this one quicker than we got through Batman vs. Superman.
Yes. Okay, so Netflix dropped a little thing on our heads a week prior to Batman vs. Superman, and that is Daredevil Season 2, which was essentially Daredevil versus the Punisher, and then versus a bunch of ninjas, and then versus his own moral compass, and versus a lot of things. Daredevil Season 2 was, excuse my language, which I've used many times already, fucking outstanding.
Yes.
Yeah. I loved the first season. I feel the second season is even better. Everyone brought their A game to the performance front, to the writing front. If I'm being incredibly nitpicky, I think it might be 2 or 3 episodes too long. But I felt that way about both season 1 of Daredevil and Jessica Jones. I just feel there is, in both series, there's a stretch like in the middle somewhere, or like the last third, where it just kind of gets like, okay, we need to fit 13 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me being incredibly nitpicky. And if I'm not being nitpicky, it's amazing all across the board. Solid 9, if not higher.
It's a solid 9, if not higher for me. I do have a couple pieces of like thought and criticism, and I'm going to do that first simply because I'm so overwhelmingly positive on this, so I might as well go bad first and then say why none of that really matters so much.
Do it. Okay,
so Daredevil Season 2 is a tale of 2 storylines. One's really excellent, the other's so-so. The so-so one is the whole hand storyline. First of all, while I think the woman they cast to play Elektra seems like a perfectly capable actress, I think she was written really poorly. She was completely at the beck and call of what other men wanted her to do, and it just felt like the whole storyline didn't quite work. I mean, there were some cool fights against some ninjas, that was neat, but it kind of felt like it didn't quite know where it's going. I thought it was a disappointing payoff to the whole mystery of what Black Sky was.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah, it was just kind of, and like, the whole thing got really muddled towards the end, and I think that was the problem why it felt like it was like, it went on a little too long, because they didn't really know what to do with the ninja storyline. It just felt like it was just really, really muddled. It's like on one episode, like Stick is trying to kill Elektra, and then all of a sudden Stick is trying to help Elektra, and Elektra wants to kill Daredevil, and now Elektra wants to help Daredevil, and Daredevil doesn't want help from Elektra, but now he wants help from. It's just like, it was just kind of a mess that was all over the place, honestly.
Truth.
Like, there was some fun stuff to watch, don't get me wrong. It was better than a lot of other TV, but it was kind of a bit of a mess. You know, I liked how it ended. Elektra's dead for now, but she'll be back. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But it just kind of felt like it was a disappointing payoff to a lot of kind of supernatural-y stuff, and yeah. Also, it's probably worth noting, like, am I wrong in saying that in many, like, while I think he does a perfectly fine job acting it, is it just me, or is Charlie Cox the least interesting person in his own show?
He had, like, I feel he plays Matt Murdock very monotone, which works in some instances, but doesn't in others. Yeah, I think he's pretty great overall, but yeah, I think Foggy's more interesting. Karen's more interesting. Josh Bernthal as the Punisher was super duper interesting. And yeah, the actress they got as Elektra was, again, really interesting. So yeah, I agree with you. As the least interesting person on his show, yeah, fully capable and still really good, and kind of like an anchor point, if you will. But yeah, I cannot disagree with that. I'm trying to rack my brain and see if I can, but I can't.
It's not saying he's even doing a bad job. In many ways, it's just a testament to how good the supporting cast is in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention, holy shit, they brought back... well, okay. So what's positive is the other storyline is so fucking good, it does not matter that, like, the hand stuff doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
Holy shit, is Jon Bernthal amazing as the Punisher.
Mm-hmm. My goodness, yes. I am a confessed not a big fan of the Punisher character. I kind of think he's a murdering psychopath a lot.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm actually there with you.
A lot like, well, let's be honest, Batman in Batman vs. Superman. He's kind of a murdering psychopath in that movie. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Punisher in that sense. I do think there's really interesting stories to be told about him. My favorite being Greg Rucka's run on the character, which basically made him like a force of nature, because it didn't tell the story from his perspective. You got to see everyone else influenced by this guy, and that's the approach they took with this series, is that there were some moments where you saw things from his perspective, which were very powerful and very well done, but mostly it was, holy shit, look at the destruction left by this guy, or wow, this guy is absolutely terrifying, and he's going to change things whether we want him to or not. And I thought that was genius. I thought the portrayal was great. The writing for that character was outstanding. Yeah, stole the show.
I think by far the best episode of the season was episode 4.
Is that the one at the gravesite?
Yeah, that ends in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, for me, like one of my all-time favorite pieces of writing for a superhero movie or show is, my God, like I said, it's so haunting when like Daredevil asks him about the little mantra he uses every time he fires his gun. And it turns out it was like his fucking kid's his kid's favorite book that he used to read to her at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that and the pawn shop.
The pawn shop scene was amazing. That was like, because that was just like, you were so close to making this out of this alive, and you just had to bring up the kid porn.
It's just one of those moments that, like, if you know who that character is, you're watching that scene and he drops that line. That guy's like, "Oh, she's barely 12." You're just like, Ah, dude, you were so goddamn close. You were so close to just getting off scot-free. You're about to get killed. You're about to get murdered brutally. Like, you were so close. It's a groan moment. It's a,
But yeah, basically everything was in him was gold. Yeah, I thought it was like definitely the most layered and deep portrayal of Punisher. It was really gritty. He never looked cool. This is kind of something I kind of read in another review, is that he's kind of awesome because he's not like an action hero. He doesn't have a bunch of catch lines. He doesn't look good. He's a badass, but I mean, he spends most of the entire show just like looking like shit. He's like beat up and bruised, but here he is still just like, kind of like a force of nature, just mowing through bad guy after bad guy.
mm-hmm.
And I really hope when award seasons come that somebody out there remembers Jon Bernthal, because I think he put on a award show worthy performance as Frank Castle.
Yeah.
It's the opening stuff when he's in the loose is super interesting. Once they get to the trial of Frank Castle, that's super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, how could this even be more cool? Like, oh, I know, we'll throw Kingpin into the mix with the Punisher.
So I see you got my message. Ooh,
and that was pretty badass. Like Punisher just like basically owning everybody in that prison.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I got so excited, and it was just fucking straight out of the Frank Miller run of Daredevil. I'm like not necessarily the Punisher being the one to see it, but the weightlifting and the shots, is like straight out of Born Again when he raises up off of that weight bench, the Kingpin revealing himself in full-blown prison garb, and I got so excited. And that scene, like, this is a big moment for me, a big deal for me. Daredevil's the one that got me back into comics, so he will always be like in my top 5 of anything. And that rivalry, I have read that rivalry for like a decade in the comics, my time with the books and being obsessed with them. And, and lots of folks have been reading that rivalry even longer. They've been reading it since it first happened in the comics. Just to see that rivalry come to fruition and grow, portrayed by Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio together. I think they elevate each other's game. I think one of the best scenes for Charlie Cox and for Vincent D'Onofrio was the one in the prison, in the interrogation room or whatever it was, the visitor room. That whole scene it gave me goosebumps. I got really giddy and fanboy-y. And that line that I kept giving to you on social media as like my favorite was just if you think the hell that Frank Castle will rain down upon the kitchen, like you just wait. Just wait. I'm like, motherfucker, they're gonna do Born Again. They're gonna do Born Again. Daredevil season 3 will be Born Again. Frank Miller, John Romita Jr. Read it. It's amazing.
And then we're rewarded at the end of the season finally with the awesome moment where Punisher's finally revealed with now like the flak jacket with like the skull like messily spray painted on it, which was a really nice touch.
Yeah, and I need to correct myself. It's not John Romita Jr. He did Man Without Fear. It's David Mazzucchelli who did Born Again. Sorry.
And I thought the resolution of his story was probably the only weak part. I thought that was like a little muddled, like that it turned out it was his commanding officer, and his commanding officer implies some stuff that might have happened, but you don't really hear about it, which I don't know if that's to be talked about later.
Yeah, I hope so. The CD that had Micro on it gets me
that made me
excited.
Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a cool reveal because, that means that quite likely we're going to see in some format or another microchip in the not too distant future.
Yeah, that's and another moment that really worked for me was at the end when Matt was just like, fuck it, shoot him. Like, he's fighting all the ninjas on the roof, and, he doesn't stop Frank from just blowing their heads off. And it's like, oh, yep, he's lost it. Like, he's like, yep, okay, no, I'm not going to fight him on this one, not this time. And I kind of enjoyed that. He wasn't the one pulling the trigger, but he wasn't going to stop it either.
Though I did also really like the moment, though, where then, like, Punisher takes aim at Nobu, but then, like, stops.
Mm.
And just kind of basically more or less, like, lets Daredevil have that one.
Yeah, it's like that belongs to Red right there.
But yeah, so, and it ended on a nice cliffhanger, in my opinion. I really liked, just, like, the scene in the offices of the former, Nelson and Murdoch, and he pulls out the mask, shows it to Karen.
Yep. That's gonna be pretty big, I think, for season 3. I think we're getting a season 3, right? Has it been all but
Yeah,
confirmed?
I'm sure we are.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're gonna get a Punisher too. I mean, like, they'd be stupid not to at this point.
Yeah. After that performance, and you get approximately the same creative team on it, they're gonna have a hell of a show on their hands.
Oh, and, like, by the way, it's also worth noting that I was kind of annoyed that they brought in, like, Elektra and the romance with Karen Page in the same season, because it felt too crowded, and it felt like neither one resolved itself satisfyingly, because didn't those two romances take place at, like, different phases of Daredevil's life?
Yes. Karen was basically out of the picture when Elektra came back, and
Yeah.
Karen came back to muddy things up. But the thing is that the relationship with Elektra was like established, so it made things like, okay, well now there's a little more mud in the water. But then of course Bullseye killed Elektra and everything cleared itself.
Well, okay, so now clarify something for me then, and this is comic book spoilers, so just be warned, this is stuff that's not in the TV show, this could potentially be future stuff. I always thought that Karen Page died.
She does. She does much later in life. She dies at the hands of, guess who? Bullseye. In Kevin Smith's run, actually, is when.
Really? Because I always thought it was like that. That's why the relationship ended. I thought she like died. Like, that was part of the thing, that she died like much earlier in the comics.
No, it was actually.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those situations where Karen Page, if I remember right, she like is an addict in the comics at one point, and goes away, gets better, stays away for a while, but then she relapses or something, and basically how Kingpin learns that Daredevil is Matt Murdock is through Karen Page telling him basically to get drugs. And so she does this whole redemption storyline, and Matt, of course, being a Catholic, all about forgiveness and guilt and all that. So he forgives her, and just as he forgives her, essentially Bullseye attacks them in the church and kills Karen Page. So it's one of those. I'm not sure if they're going to do that kind of storylines. I don't think they're going to make this version of Karen Page into a drug addict and make her
probably not
sell out Matt Murdock to the Kingpin. I think Kingpin's just going to figure out from that little jab in the jail cell that maybe there's a little more to this son of the boxer guy. Yeah.
So I would probably, in the end, I'd probably give it a 9.5, I think, is probably right where I'm at. And that's saying a lot, because like I said, there were some noticeable problems, but the stuff that worked was so fucking amazing that it just kind of, the rest of it didn't matter so much for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a solid 9. Solid 9. Yeah. So there you go. Those are our thoughts on the two big superhero things happening in the world. And man, do we have a lot more coming up. Civil War in the beginning of May, X-Men Apocalypse at the end of May, what's coming out? Suicide Squad in August, which I'm actually looking a lot more forward to after BVS for some reason.
I've been more excited about it pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that was the right call. Yeah, so that's our thoughts. If you have thoughts of your own, feel free to send them to us. You can like us on Facebook, Friendly Neighborhood Fanboys. You can follow us on Twitter at FN Fanboys. Send your thoughts, your comments, your concerns, your questions, any topics you want to hear us talk about to fnfanboys@gmail.com. We're coming back at you. Next week we'll do WrestleMania recap. We'll get all wrestling on you. Woo! Ric Flair style. And, yeah. Man, anything else to add on the going outs, Adam?
No, it was a blast talking with you. Let's try to do it again next week so we can get all into that wrestling.
Yeah, that wrestling stuff, and I'll keep. Maybe I'll finally instigate the Chaz King comic pick of the week because
Yeah, there we go.
yeah, it's something that I do for a living now. So that will be good. Make sure to follow us. Make sure to follow middleofnowheregaming.com as well. Bookmark middleofnowheregaming.com. You can follow them on the Twitter at middleofnowheregaming. Make sure to watch their YouTube stuff at Mong Plays on Twitch as well. And once again, thank you to Middle of Nowhere Gaming for letting us do this every single time out. For Adam Leonard, I am Chaz King. This has been your friendly neighborhood fanboys. Have a wonderful life, and we will talk to you soon.